What's good, y'all? I already know where y'all at. It's your boy Star Jones, and it's a new episode of Star Views. It's about to start right now. So please, I hope you got your hookah ready, and I hope you got your cups full of whatever ready, because I got a lot to talk about, alright? Know what's going on. Star Jones, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Please and thanks, you heard? What's good, folks? It's your man Star Jones. We back, man. We got another episode of Star Views. This is the very first episode for the month of April. As per usual, the year it just seems to fly by. I think that's a huge part because of movies. When you spend 2-3 hours in a movie theater every weekend, it kind of, pardon me, it kind of like has everything moving and flowing how it's supposed to as far as time, I guess. Even though sometimes I wish this weekend would just slow down. I'm sure a lot of people out there share my sentiments. But tonight we're gonna be talking about the first movie that we're gonna be reviewing for the month of April. And this is the latest installment in the Sony Marvel universe. Not to be confused with the MCU, which is all the properties, Marvel properties that Disney owns. This is solely just the Spider-Man properties. For those who don't know, that's why you don't see too many Spider-Man villains in DC movies in MCU movies, because Sony still owns the rights. Technically, the Spider-Man, Venom, things like that. And this is the same universe that has the movies with Tom Hardy playing Venom, Woody Harrelson playing Carnage. This is the same universe. So, Morbius, starring Jared Leto. Hope I'm saying his name right. I'm never too confident if I'm saying Leto or Leto. But I think it's going to be Jared Leto. Yeah, I'm confident today. So, Jared Leto playing Morbius. This is also starring Tyrese Gibson. He's playing a federal agent or a cop, not too sure what, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, those are the two most familiar faces in this movie. And so yeah, when we get back, we're going to actually talk about what transpired in the film, what took place, plot overview, things like that, and then ultimately, at the end, we're going to discuss how I grade it, what the pros and cons are, whether or not you guys should see it. Alright, so I'll be back in 2 seconds. Stay tuned. Be back in a minute. I honestly should have smoked hookah for tonight, but for this conversation, just because I feel like we might want to smoke a little hookah for this review tonight. And for those who's asking or are concerned, Star, why do you sound like that? I am getting over a cold. That's why I actually didn't put the review out yesterday, just because my voice was extremely shot, and it was a lot worse than what it is now. So, bear with me. I'll try to project my voice as much as I can. So, Morbius. This again is the latest superhero, anti-hero movie in the Sonyverse. We recently got Venom, the first movie, then we had Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the second movie, the sequel to, that film. And so now we have Morbius. So Morbius pretty much begins with our introduction to Michael Morbius. He's a doctor, and he suffers from this blood disease. I don't know if the movie mentioned it. I don't recall hearing it, but said blood disease causes his body to, I guess, it's just not the healthiest body. He can't walk. His bones are very brittle and weak, things like that. So we see Dr. Morbius, Michael Morbius, in Costa Rica, and they're walking into a cave where there are vampire bats. The type of bat that licks blood. They don't necessarily suck blood, but they lick blood, and they lick enough blood where they can kill things twice their size, I guess. So Michael Morbius is on his trek to capture the said vampire bats so he can bring it back to his laboratory and try to use the bats to somehow she's trying to create some type of remedy. So, the vampire bat's genetics could be into his, or don't really know the science, but pretty much the vampire bats are going to help him be better, stronger, and combat his unknown blood disease. So not too long after we're introduced to that intro, it cuts into a scene 25 years prior to where we see a young Michael Morbius where he's in a hospital in, I believe, it's Greece. And this is where we meet the antagonist slash best friend of the movie. I don't know his real name, don't recall, but I know they called him Milo. Michael Morbius called him Milo throughout the course of the film. It is a reason why he calls him Milo. I forget. I don't think it stuck out too much in my mind. But Milo's his best friend, and he suffers from the same blood disease. So they had a connection there. So from their time as children up until adulthood, they became friends. So now we jump back forward 25 years, and we see Michael Morbius in the lab cooking up some type of concoction to save himself and other people that suffer from the same blood disease. So we're introduced to this synthetic blood that he created. It's this blue blood. And this blue blood is used to save people who suffer from certain blood diseases. I mentioned this blue blood because it's important to the story. Hence him, again, he's going to eventually become a vampire. So, Michael Morbius, again, he's so motivated to get this vampire blood into his body so he can become a better living human being and to combat this blood disease so they could, he could distribute this to people in the world. He experiments this on himself. He started off with on a mouse. He realized the mouse was a dying mouse, had the same blood disease, but yet the mouse fully recovered once he injected this serum, so to speak, into the mouse. So at that point, he's motivated and he decides to finally experiment on himself, human trial, so to speak. And we won't say it ended badly, but he becomes a vampire. And then at that point in the movie, it's pretty much him trying to figure out how to suppress his thirst for blood. And again, like I mentioned, the blue blood is important because the blue blood is what kind of keeps him suppressed and keeps him from attacking human beings for blood. But he realizes that the synthetic blood, the man-made blood, doesn't sustain and suppress his vampireness and hunger as long as it should. And so again, he kind of results into going after human beings in that red blood. So that's pretty much the movie. And then on top of that, you have his best friend Milo. He also takes the serum, but he has like villainous ways to him and motivations to him. And he decides, I'm going to use this to be great and just be an asshole. So that's pretty much Morbius versus his best friend Milo and him trying to navigate how to be this enhanced human being now. That's the movie. It's about an hour and 50 something minutes. It's not quite 2 hours. So yeah, when I get back, we're going to tell you how I rate it, how I feel about it, and whether or not you guys should see it. Alright? We'll be back in 2 seconds. So, boom. We back. I'm going to just start out with this. I was very excited to see this movie. Extremely excited. Especially when you consider how the movie was delayed so much due to the pandemic. And how it was also delayed this year. It was supposed to come out early this year. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was supposed to come out in January, but they pushed it to April or something like that. I look at so many movies, I forget sometimes these release dates. But either way, it got pushed due to COVID, and then it got pushed again this year. So, the anticipation just kept building and building for this movie, and it really, 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 really fell short of expectations. It's nothing good about this film. It's nothing I enjoyed about this movie. I'm just being frank, I'm being honest, I'm being direct, as I always am. Super blunt, not holding anything back. I did not enjoy this movie at all. There was nothing positive about this film that I walked away with. I'm going to give Jared Leto, I think Jared Leto is a good actor. But I don't know, I think he might want to step away from the realm of the superhero stuff. You know what I'm saying? The Marvel stuff, the DC stuff. I don't think he was a bad Joker in Zack Snyder's and Joss Whedon's adaptation of the DCEU characters, but you know, I don't know. This might not be his lane. But yeah, I just want to start with the intro. I think the intro was terrible. A lot of movies have good intros, you know. Like I think about Endgame. It was a long intro, but when they cut off Thanos' head, it was like, oh shit. This movie's 3 hours long. What we gotta look forward to now? He gonna kill Thanos. Like, need something like that. This, you know what I'm saying? Again, I'm the scale of films are two different things, but still, you know what I'm saying? A good intro was gonna reel you in, and the intro was trash. The intro was the cave drawing when he met the vampire bats, the same footage that we used to saw, pardon me, in the trailers all this time prior to the release of this film. And it just was very lackluster. It just didn't hit. You know, just didn't hit. And it was supposed to be like, oh, but it just had no wow factor. So poor opening intro to this film. Yeah, it was nothing, you know, gripping about this film. Another con about the film, it just felt like everything was just rammed together. Like they just kind of shot a scene and they said, "This is what we're gonna do and we're gonna put it together." It just didn't feel like it didn't feel like there was any type of pace. It didn't feel like any type of. And the crazy thing, it was paced very quickly, but it felt so slow. It was dull. It was boring. I even had like 3 2-minute naps in the film. Like it just didn't captivate me. It just didn't get me. It just didn't reel me in. Something that stuck out that bothered me was that we didn't know whether or not Tyrese and his partner, Officer Rodriguez, or detective, we didn't know what they were. We didn't know if they was FBI or NYPD. They called them detectives. They called them agents. There was no continuity and consistency there. I didn't know what they were. So that kind of was bothering me all the time. A particular scene, I'm probably just going to ramble because the things I didn't like or just stuck out and it didn't really quite make sense. When he became Morbius, when he became the vampire on the boat and he was out at sea, you know, 13 nautical miles away. Unless he swam as Morbius, because when we last seen him before he jumped in the water, he was Dr. Michael Morbius. You telling me he swam 13 nautical miles? 13 regular miles is a long way. When you talking nautical miles, that dude just kind of blew my mind. Yeah, I might be like, sorry, you being petty, but that was something that bothered me. Speaking of Tyrese, the scene where he broke out of jail. When he got locked up, matter of fact, he was able to scale all those steps. He might have went up like, I don't know, a lot of stories. Scaled all those steps. How did Tyrese get up there so damn fast? Just didn't make sense. Like a lot of things in this movie just didn't really add up. It just didn't make sense. Milo, I think, was a cool villain. I give him that. That's a pro. I think Milo was a decent villain. I don't know too much about the whole Morbius universe and the characters that surround Morbius. But I think Milo was a good spot. I think he was a good, like, yeah, I think he was a good villain. I think he was a good antagonist, somebody to oppose, you know, especially with the best friend dynamic. I think that was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. He kind of really relished I'm gonna be the bad vampire. And he damn sure let him Reebok Classics. He wore them Reebok Classics with every fit he had on throughout the course of the movie. It didn't matter where he went, what he wore. Marshall had them Reebok Classics on, so I give Milo that credit. I also feel like I said, it goes back to pacing. I just felt like he powered up really quickly. I think a lot of heroes power up fast. Like Captain America, when he became Captain America, he came out the chamber and he was already jumping over shit and running mad fast. Like, but it was just like the build up to it. It was just like no build up to him becoming Morbius. Like it was no build up for me. And what was the point of referencing Venom? You know, like I mentioned earlier, they took a lot of stuff out. Oh no, I didn't get to talk about it. But the trailers, prior to the release, they had a whole bunch of Easter eggs in the trailers, but they removed everything. Oscorp, can't say it, speaking fact. Oscorp. They had the Oscorp built in the commercials. Didn't see Oscorp in the movie. The Spider-Man logo with murder spray painted across it. Didn't see that in the movie. In the commercial when he goes, "I'm Venom," He didn't say that in the movie. No. They referenced the events in San Francisco, but he never said the Venom shit. So for me, it's kind of like, boom, what was the point of all this stuff? You just let us on. And then, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, it don't matter because I'm going to tell you I didn't see it anyway. We didn't see Vulture until the post-credit scenes. They showed us Vulture in every trailer leading up to the release of this film. And we didn't see Vulture until the very, very end. And that was very disappointing. So Vulture came through Doctor Strange's his spell. So he came through, and now he was in prison in New York. He ends up being released because no one knows him for being guilty of any of the things he did in the MCU. And then the second post-credit scene, we see him with his wings. Where did he get the wings from? Don't know where he got the wings from because he came through the portal by himself in a cell in a corrections jumper. So don't necessarily know where he got the wings from. So they need to explain that. Now, unless this has some type of continuity with the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield, because at the conclusion of the second film, we saw that there were Vulture's wings, you know, inside that building. But Dr. Octopus's arms, stuff like that. So, unless they're trying to do that, then maybe they could cook something up. But it just don't make sense to me. I don't know, like, how did Morbius get away? He broke out of jail. Now he's free, like, and then his girlfriend's gonna come back as a. I don't know. I just really wasn't feeling this too much. They took way too much out the trailers, and then the ending, it just ended. It just ended. It was like, no, you know what I'm saying? You kind of, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, this is about to end. This shit just done, credits. Terrible. I don't like this movie. I'm giving this movie 3 stars out of 10. Do not go see it. Do not watch it. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have gave it less than a 3 had it not just been for, you know, Milo. Milo might have made it a 3. The villain. Yeah, I'm sure all the actors and actresses in this film was like, this shit sucks. This is terrible. And 10 years from now, they're going to be like, I regret making this film. It's not good at all. It's not funny. It's Nathan. The action is regular. And then it's like, yo, for this to be a vampire movie, we should have got some blood. I'm going to shoot the blood. I need to get some blood. I ain't get no blood. Man, I ain't get enough blood. This movie should have been rated R for real. If it was rated R, probably would have been a little better. Probably would have graded better. I ain't gonna lie, the whole time I was in the theater, like, where's Blade? Where's Mr. Snipes? Come get this man. Get him out of here. This vampire gotta go. We don't even need him to save the day. We got Spider-Man. Get him out of here. Blade, please. I was hoping for Blade to pop up on the screen. Please, get these vampires out of here, because they all suck. I like the Daywalker. But anyway, 3 stars out of 10. Do not waste your bread. Do not go see it. I doubt, because it's going to be poorly received, I doubt a sequel will come out. They're going to make the money just because people want to see superhero stuff, but because people hate it, I'm sure they share my sentiments. I don't think there should be a sequel. I think there's material for a sequel, but I don't think it's worth it. Unless they totally get a different writer and someone who really just emphasis on like an ill writer. Like, you got to have a fire writer for the next one. I would not be excited at all. 3 $10 stars. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. No nothing. Don't watch it at the crib. Just don't watch it. Just avoid it, period. This is one of the worst films I've seen so far in 22. And at the end of the year, when I do my award show, this is probably be nominated for worst film of the year. So, yeah. So this week, it's going to be a big weekend. We got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 dropping this weekend. And we have Ambulance by Michael Bay starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Jake Gyllenhaal. 2 movies, 2 episodes of Star Views this weekend coming out. So stay tuned. I appreciate y'all for chilling with me, chopping it up with me. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Y'all be good. Y'all be good. Oh, y'all still here? Appreciate y'all for sticking around, man. But I don't got no more hookah. But what I do have is more content on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that red button and subscribe. hit the bell so you get notified as soon as I post anything. All right. And if you haven't already followed me on social media, here's my information. Make sure y'all follow up. Appreciate it. Y'all still here, man. That's valid. Have a good one.